Trudy, this is progress, but Labor argues the Prime Minister is hiding behind supply shortages.
Gab, the opposition today pointing out these issues that have been plaguing the vaccine rollout. As we do see that number, though, tick up over the 100,000 mark. It's a record the Prime Minister flagged earlier today. The Health Department confirming that number in the last 24 hours was 101,146. It takes the total for Australia's vaccine rollout to 3.47 million jabs. It's progress, as you say, but there's still a lot of work to be done. We've missed the initial targets that the government set by a long way. Labor zeroing in today, though, on what the Prime Minister said yesterday regarding supply shortfalls as a reason not to boost an ad campaign to try and convince those cautious to go and get a jab to actually do so. Here was the Shadow Health Minister, Mark Butler.
Now, Scott Morrison keeps blaming supply issues for the slow pace of the vaccine rollout. This is simply misleading. We know from the companies supplying the vaccines that the Commonwealth is receiving about 1.4 million doses of COVID vaccine every week, but only 450,000, about 1 in 3 doses, are ending up in people's arms.
Meanwhile, the government also has its eye today on vaccines of the future, with businesses asked to come forward if they'd like to take part in the manufacturing of this mRNA vaccine technology domestically in Australia. The Industry Minister, Christian Porter, will be making this announcement in a short time in Perth, convincing businesses to come and help produce this technology. It's like Pfizer and Moderna and can be used for other diseases in the future. Here was Scott Morrison this morning.
But what we've seen with the mRNA vaccines is they are the new technology. They are the new way of doing vaccines around the world. Now, 18 months ago, apart from some trial treatments in HIV, this was largely science fiction. And so this is a very new science. And so we're moving quickly to establish that, not just for now, but for the long term and for many other vaccines that will be done through mRNA, not just COVID.
Trudy, the Queensland Premier is defending her decision not to get the coronavirus jab so far.
It's an interesting approach, Gab. The Queensland Premier, the only state leader to not have got out early, got the COVID jab to try and convince others that it's safe to do so. She says she's waiting to get her flu jab first, but certainly under fire today for this decision. Here was her pushback on also why her Chief Health Officer, Jeanette Young, has also not gone out and got the jab, and that the statement from Queensland Health today is she's not getting AstraZeneca despite being over the age of 50, instead opting for Pfizer.
Well, a lot of people are getting their flu shots first because we're coming into the flu season, so I'll be doing that and then I'll be getting my COVID vaccine.
Is that the advice to Queensland? Is that to get the flu jab?
A lot of people are out there at the moment getting their flu shots, and then you have to wait a couple of weeks before you get your COVID vaccine.
As someone in phase 1B, shouldn't Dr Young have gotten the jabs as soon as possible?
Look, no, Dr Young is happy to wait her turn, just like everybody else. She's not in the vulnerable category like other people are, so she'll get her vaccine at the appropriate time.
Defence Minister Peter Dutton certainly taking a hit at the Queensland Premier today, saying she should do her duty and go out and get the jab as soon as today. Not the same approach, though, from the Prime Minister.
My message is very clear, and that is I would encourage all those who are over 50 to go and get the jab, and particularly if you're over 70, which is our strong focus, I would very much encourage you to do it.
What message, though, does it send that the Chief Health Officer in Queensland can get either AstraZeneca or Pfizer and she's choosing Pfizer?
Well, she's in the phase 1B, I think, which...
But she could pick either.
Well, I'll leave those decisions to her.
Well,
I'm not making any comment on it.
The Premier and the Chief Health Officer in Queensland have let Queenslanders down, and they need to, I think, go out today, roll their sleeve up, make a very public statement about the fact that they've got the vaccine and encourage other people to do it.
Trudy, the WA Premier has revealed what he thinks about the PM's idea of a vaccine passport.
It hasn't been broadly welcomed, Gabs, that's for sure. We know Mark McGowan has enjoyed using borders as a way to keep COVID out of the West during this pandemic. He says today he doesn't actually believe that a vaccine passport is a very good idea in the long term because ultimately it won't be required.
But I think the best solution here is just for everyone to get vaccinated. If we get everyone vaccinated, we don't have to worry about an internal passport within Australia. I just think it would be a huge amount of effort to create something that would then become redundant when everyone's vaccinated. So all I'd say is get vaccinated.
So the WA Premier wants to see more detail, and he also crucially hasn't committed that if you're fully vaccinated, you would be able to bypass any potential border bans into the West, Gab.
Trudy McIntosh, live for us in Canberra. Thank you.